I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're challenging the status quo in healthcare and exploring a bold, transformative approach to wellness. The name of the book, Balance Your Terrain, a guide to optimal health and freedom from dis-ease. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Rick Wagner. In the book, he reveals how reconnecting with our body's natural rhythms and the elemental power of minerals can lead to true healing. If you're ready to ditch outdated medical models and take control of your health journey, this book is your guide to freedom. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Rick, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. The book is great. The advice is wonderful. When did you start adopting this approach to wellness?
It started in about, 1995, when I don't have any hair,
Mm-hmm.
but I had another company, a mortgage company at that point, and one of my employees told me about a product that her neighbor had given her daughter to grow hair,
Mm-hmm.
called silica gel. And so she said, "You should try it, Rick." I hadn't taken supplements forever, and I said, "Well, what the heck? I'll give it a try." And I went out to the store and I bought some of this product. It came from Germany, by the way, and I started taking it, and nothing was really happening at all. And I took it for about 6 weeks. I then had to go on a trip back east, a vacation, and on the label it said refrigerate after opening, basically. And I knew I wasn't going to be near a refrigerator that would work. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to mess around with it, so I stopped taking it. Concurrent with this whole process, I had been experiencing what I would call dramatic arthritis in my neck, and had finally broken down, gone to the doctor, gotten an X-ray. They said, "Oh yes, you have arthritis. We can't really see it, but we know it's there." And my response to them was, "Well, what do you do about it? What can you do?" This was a well, 1995. I mean, it's not that far away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they said there's nothing we can do. They said you can take aspirin the rest of your life, and if it really gets bad, we'll scrape it off with a scalpel. Well, neither one of those was of any interest at all to me. But so that from that point, 2 months had passed since I was given the information on silica. So the 6 week period, we went on a trip. It was 10 days. Came back, and all of this pain that had been diminishing during the 6 weeks that I wasn't even recognizing came back. I immediately got back on the silica, and the pain came back. The pain curve came back down to where it had been before I left.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, 9 months later, I was completely clear of any pain in my neck.
Wow.
It has never come back.
Right.
So that was 30 years ago. And so I said, "There's something to this. I've got to figure out what it is." Well, the other part of this was I started looking back at the different things that I had been able to resolve by taking minerals, just people suggesting things to me. One was I had a flu. And oh, by the way, I used to get flus every year. Be down for a week with a flu.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been down for a week since I started
Wow.
taking silica and then the other minerals. But one time I lost my sense of taste and smell after I recovered from the flu and came uh, just you couldn't taste, couldn't smell. It was amazing. Everything tasted brown.
Yeah.
And I talked to my mom about it one day, and she said, well, she looked up something and said she found an article in the LA Times magazine, and it talked about zinc.
Hmm.
I said, well, I'll give that a shot. So I went out and I bought some zinc. It's literally it had been 2 months with this issue. 2 days later, I had all my sense of taste and smell back
Yeah.
with the zinc. I've had experiences with uh, just salt, sea salt,
Mhm.
and fixing things. And then what was the other one that was? Anyway, it kind of I kind of just pulled it all together. It's just gone on and on and on, and everything
Mhm.
relates back to minerals. So I said we've got to get into this somehow. I now have a company that actually manufactures liquid minerals,
Mhm.
and but in this process, I've learned so much, and that's what I put into the book is
Yeah.
what these things really are.
Yeah.
And whenever I have a discussion, I like to ask someone, "Where do you think you came from?"
Hmm.
You know, and if you really look at it from a standpoint of reality, we all came from the earth.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm looking at this picture behind you of a city. I guess it's New
Yeah.
York.
Yep.
Um, uh, Everything you're looking at came out of the ground,
Right.
you and I. And we didn't, there was no other place it came from. So what is in the ground? It isn't vitamins and carbohydrates and all that stuff. It's
Mhm.
minerals.
Yeah.
This entire planet is just made out of minerals. And so it has to be a more significant factor in life than what we're giving it. And in fact, what's happening today is we're taking the minerals out of the foods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Today you buy root vegetables and so forth. They don't have many minerals anymore because our soil's depleted of minerals or they're raised in a hothouse, right?
right, exactly. And the reality of it is the United States grew from actually farmers running out of using up the mineral content of the soil where their farm was after about, and that happens between 7 and 10 years. If you grow the same crop every year, it will pull out the minerals that it needs, and then it
Mhm.
won't be able to live anymore. So then what happens? Then the insects come in, the fungi, the bacteria, whatever else, and they recycle the plant because
Mhm.
the nature knows that it's just not worth anything anymore. Well, so then what happens? Well, then what we came up with, or the chemical industry came up with, is well, let's just kill the bugs, kill the bacteria, we'll kill everything, and then the plant will be okay. Not thinking that it's telling them that there's just no minerals in the soil to give to us,
Yeah.
and we have to keep them recycled, and we have to get them all the time because we
Yeah.
don't.
Exactly. And we need all sorts of minerals. We need trace minerals. We need abundant minerals. What do minerals actually do in our body? They actually help regulate certain functions, right?
They literally regulate every function in the human body.
Mhm.
Now, the way they do that is and I'm reading another book that was written by a Japanese doctor on minerals, and it's kind of interesting because he's really close, but not quite. But basically, when the function needs to happen in a cell, the genes of the cell issue an instruction, an enzyme instruction, basically to the cell.
Mhm.
It's sent out of the nucleus. It's picked up by this compound, not a compound, an element called the endoplasmic reticulum.
Mhm.
This organ, you wouldn't even call it an organ, but anyway, this other component of the cell will then go out into the cell, and it will pull together all of the proteins that are needed, or amino acids that are needed to make this enzyme.
Yeah.
The enzyme, though, it will then, if it has the right mineral to catalyze it, will do the job. A perfect example is in your heart.
Mhm.
You have enzymes in the heart cells, actually throughout all your muscle cells, that will contract the cell, and then you have another enzyme that will relax the cell. That's the beating of your heart.
Mm.
The mineral needed to contract the cell is potassium. The mineral needed to relax the cell is magnesium. If you run out of either one of them, you'll die of a heart attack.
Yeah.
It'll either do, the heart will contract and it won't relax, or it'll relax and won't contract. And
Exactly.
so, and that's what makes up electrolytes. So a long time ago, actually, Western medicine did figure that one out. So that when you're injured, you will be taken into the ER, and they will give you immediately an infusion of electrolytes.
Mm.
It's, just in your arm.
Right.
They want to make sure your heart keeps beating.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is stress burns up those elements. So it's incredible. But without that mineral there, the cell can go on making all the stuff it needs, but it won't work.
Yeah.
It's got to have the mineral. So, I mean, potassium and magnesium, huge for muscle functioning and just for the functioning of the heart.
Yeah.
But it goes on and on and on and on. Going back to my favorite mineral, the silica, it's what the body must have to maintain collagen levels.
Mm.
Collagen, we don't think much about it. Oh, but you can go buy it. There's companies that will grind up cartilage, beef cartilage, sell it as a powder, and say it's collagen. But the problem is the body doesn't just take that collagen and stick it where it needs for collagen. It has to make what it's going to have. So it will have to break down the collagen and then rebuild it.
Yeah.
And so what the silica does is it is what the body must have to make collagen.
Mm.
And a real important part of collagen is the mucus lining of the digestive tract.
Mm.
And so many people today I just was on the phone with a gal, had really bad stomach issues for a long, long time. And, it's called GERD or acid reflux or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All that is the lack of a lining in your stomach.
Yeah.
Because in your stomach is an acid that will, if you put it out, take it out of your stomach, put it on your skin, it'll burn a hole in your skin. So you can imagine it's stuff your body's in there trying to digest food that you're eating, but it doesn't have the lining in the around the inside of the muscle wall of the stomach to protect it.
Yeah. It
hurts.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you've had it. I know I have. I used to live with this stuff for a long, long time. I would take Tums, and then it went to papaya enzyme. After I started taking the silica, it all went away. I haven't had a stomach issue in 30 years.
Yeah.
And so it's that's how important this stuff really, really is.
Right.
And so, but yet you go and talk to a doctor, and they'll if you even mention minerals, they'll look at you like you're crazy.
Right. Yeah. They want to put you on a pharmaceutical. They want to put you on Pepcid. They want to do everything but treat you holistically, treat you with vitamins, treat you with minerals. But I always found it ironic. Do you notice when a woman is pregnant, they make sure she takes very high dosage of vitamins and minerals to prevent that baby from being born with defects and without her hurting herself. But when it comes to me and you, the doctors, well, you don't need, if you want, take a multivitamin, but you don't need it. That's how they treat you. It's, don't waste your money.
Right. And yet, if you look at the pharmaceuticals that we're being given now, where do they occur in the human body? They have no role in the human body whatsoever.
Right.
So yeah,
a lot of it's toxic. The stuff, the pharmaceuticals that we take are highly toxic, highly toxic in particular to the liver, because everything has to go through the liver. So very, very, very fascinating. Also, buoying your cause is the fact that watch professional athletes. Every time they get a break, what are they doing? They're pounding electrolytes that are filled with potassium and magnesium and making sure that their bodies are able to withstand the pressure and that their hearts are able to take the strain, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And you've seen some of them actually pass out on the field because they didn't.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and
Silica is new to me. You bringing up silica and writing about silica. Are there foods that are rich in silica? Should we take it as a supplement? And how much should we take?
there are the food most rich in silica is grain.
Hmm.
What's happened today, so think about it, 150 years ago, we didn't have combines that would harvest the wheat.
Hmm.
Um, well, today, when the combine harvests the wheat, I mean, given that it's organic, which isn't very often anyway,
Hmm.
the combine removes the outside husk of the grain kernel. They still sell that as whole wheat, but
Right.
that is where the silica is. So
Mm.
we 150 years ago and earlier, wheat was a staple. It was the foundation of our diets,
Yeah.
and it was harvested by hand, threshed, and then ground with a stone grinder. Well,
Hmm.
the stone grinder was usually made out of granite, so that had a little silica in it, by the way. But the grinding process incorporated the husk of the grain,
Hmm.
so that when you ate a piece of bread, you got not only all the nutrients in the grain, but you got the silica.
Hmm.
So we did not have the issues that we have today with regards to collagen and joint issues and all the rest. We were
Mm.
healthy that way.
Yeah.
They're gone. It's gone now. It's to me, it is the most important element that's missing today in our diets. And the other thing that's really fascinating is uh, it's something that it's the second most prevalent element on the Earth's crust, and yet scientists, the experts, don't even recognize it. Well,
Mm.
the only element more in abundance on the Earth's crust is oxygen.
Mm.
And
Wow.
if you don't have oxygen, you're dead.
Yeah.
Well, what we're saying now is if you don't have silica, you may not be dead, but you're not really very happy, and your
Mm.
life has got really bad. Well, from my own perspective, when I was 18, I was an avid surfer, and I broke one day surfing. I broke the cartilage in one of my knees. Well,
Mhm.
why would that happen? Why would an 18-year-old break cartilage? The only solution was knee surgery, pull it out. They didn't even put it back in. And that's what,
Right.
and then, and then I lost all my hair.
Mm.
Well, there was something going on, but no one was even looking at silica at that point. And
Yeah.
so I know that I was not eating what I should have been. But and you think about, okay, why would something that's the second most element or a prevalent element on the Earth's crust not be addressed by the
Mm.
agencies that look at the minerals? I, I this is a funny story. I went back to Washington maybe 20 years ago, and uh, I decided to go into the National Academy of Sciences. This organization, it's a very large building that,
Mm-hmm.
near the White House, and they are responsible for identifying the nutrient content that you should be taking of the vitamins and minerals. They do not even list silica
Mm.
nor sulfur
Mm.
as an essential element. I went into the building, and I asked the gal at the front desk, "What is there someone here I can talk to?" And just describe what I'm looking at here, and find out whether or not they could look at something else, another mineral. And she said, looking at me kind of, spacey, "Well, do you know anyone here?"
So
I,
funny.
yeah, I
So
said,
funny.
I know. I said, no, I don't know anyone here. I live on the West Coast.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. Why is virtually everyone deficient in minerals?
Okay, that actually is very, very easy to look at. It's the refinement of our foods, and it'll start with water. Okay, you got your city water, which tastes awful and is full of pollutants. So what do? They fill it full of chlorine. Also, they do put in um,
And they do put fluoride in there too in many
right,
cases.
and
Yeah.
fluoride. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they put in fluoride thinking it's going to help your teeth. Well, they used to use fluoride as a rat poison, by the way. And so anyway, the we were going and trying to get more and more pure water. Well, what that requires is either distillation, reverse osmosis, or deionization. All
Yeah.
of those things really mean is that the minerals have been taken out of the water.
Yeah.
Now, and water has a very high propensity to minerals. Where does all water end up? In the ocean, in a
Mhm.
full balance of all of the minerals. So what do? We try to though get it all nice and pure. That takes out all the minerals. Then we drink it. Well, then it has a high propensity then to bind up to the minerals in our cells. And then what happens? We pass it.
Yeah.
And so all we're basically taking minerals out of our bodies when we
Yeah.
eat, we drink anything like this, the purified water. It has to be re-inoculated with all the minerals. Sea salt is a really good way to do that. But
Mm.
that's the primary. But then they're growing foods on minerally depleted soil. We're not getting anywhere near what we should be getting. In fact, what's happening is this is one of the reasons I think we have a lot of obesity. People really don't want to eat a lot more food today
Mm.
because their bodies intuitively know they're not getting the minerals they need. And so
Mm.
they're overeating. But anyway, that it's the purification of our system. We're messing it up so badly when we're growing things or just dealing with our water supply. We're removing everything that's going to keep us healthy.
Yeah, it's frightening. All we do is drink bottled water in many cases. And like you said, that's purified water.
Yes,
In some cases, they add electrolytes back, but usually they don't.
right.
So you're getting the hydration from it, but you're not getting the minerals. I mean, you have to look no further than the studies on iodine to realize how important minerals are. I mean, there were vast regions of this country that their people's eyeballs would bulge with goiter because
Yes,
they weren't getting any iodine. And then
right.
finally, they added it to salt, and the problem was solved. If you didn't live near an ocean where you were getting the iodine from the sea air and from the water, so it's you've really tapped into something here. It's very, very important. What do you think people should do? I see multivitamins for sale. I guess there's some are mixed with minerals as well. But what should you do as far as supplementation goes? Because it doesn't seem like our food is going to cut it anymore.
The very first thing that I recommend to people is they take a look at their salt and throw out table salt and utilize only sea salt.
Hmm.
Sea salt will contain the full array of all of the minerals that are in the ocean. And if there, that's basically it. There's nothing else out there that's good, in the way of minerals that you need that you don't have in the ocean. So I always recommend using sea salt in your diet. And then I recommend uh, taking a look at, and one of the reasons that I wrote the book was to try and get people, researchers, to stimulate to look at what each of these minerals do. But it's taking some time and understanding what they really do in the body. That way, then when you feel something where you're not quite on, you can look and say, well, and try the mineral that you need and see if that works. Um, but the first thing is getting back into a full complement of all of the minerals. And I believe that really is um, the sea salt. And in fact, what fascinating, one of the things that I have discovered is that Peru and the Incas 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago were drinking salt water that was bubbling out of the Andes at 11,000 feet in elevation. And it's the same kind of a situation as there is in the Himalayas, where you have the Himalayan pink salt. It's just coming out of where two plates are coming together, and then the seawater is getting pushed up. But it's really, really amazing. But it's got all the minerals. We've tested it, and it's a very, very good simple solution to make sure you're at least getting all of the major elements that you need as a consumer.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
it tastes better than table salt also. So that's another reason to use
yeah.
it. The name of the book is Balance Your Terrain. What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to have the proper balance of the minerals in your cells.
Mhm.
And so the question is, how do you do that? How do you get that? And the first thing is, what's causing the imbalance? And so what I'm addressing in the book is uh, all, why the minerals are important, what they do, why the balance is important, and what that imbalance can do in the way of feeling at dis-ease. So many of 95% of the disease that we're experiencing today is from uh, a lack of balance.
Mm,
They're not bugs that are trying to get you. They're things that your body's just falling apart because
yeah.
it doesn't have all the right components. So it's really to get people aware that all these things that we're being given are not right. And
Yeah.
it's so simple. It's as easy as minerals. And we have a vast storehouse of them out in the ocean. But we also manufacture a lot of different mineral elements. So
Mm.
um, but it's people have to begin to be aware that this is what we're made out of. This is the only thing we're made out of, and we have to keep it in a good relationship with each other, each of the minerals. So that's the
Yeah.
point of it. And when that happens is they will not be at dis-ease. They will be at ease.
Mhm.
And that's
Exactly. Exactly. A lot of people are suffering out there. A lot of people are spending a lot of money on pharmaceuticals, which may or may not help. Things like magnesium can lower blood pressure. It
yes,
can regulate heart rate if you have an arrhythmia.
yes,
There is a lot of great things that minerals can do, and people should investigate them. And I guess also important is finding a doctor who's open to all of this as well, right?
that is so difficult today.
Yeah.
And I would challenge doctors to pay more attention to this. Um, but you know what? There's a conundrum there, and that is if they do that, they're not going to be able to prescribe pharmaceuticals that they probably get a kickback on, and or surgeries.
Yeah.
So they will be giving up a lot of their income
Yeah.
and a lot of their practice because they'll be successful in what they're doing. But then that follows the Hippocratic Oath, right?
Do
If
no harm.
there's no harm.
Yeah.
And but the issue is trying to fix the person so that they don't have these issues and don't have to come back again, but that they understand what is creating the problem. And it's not a lack of a drug. Not one drug on this planet that ever, the lack thereof, caused a problem.
Yeah. And these drugs that they give you don't cure the problem in most cases. They just treat the problem. Once you
Yeah.
start the drug, you're on the drug for life.
Yes.
And you're paying out of pocket X number of dollars, the insurance company, and it is a horrible cabal, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, between pharmaceutical, the doctor, the testings, the surgery. If you can break free from that and be well,
Yes.
that's the goal. You don't want you want to stay out of that. I always say I want to stay out of that little gown that doesn't close in the back, that ties around your neck, that goes up, that barely covers my hips because I'm so tall. I want to stay out of those like crazy. So I eat right, I take my vitamins, I take my minerals, and I exercise and knock wood. I'll stay out of that little gown. That's all I want to do.
Well, in fact, that's basically what I have done. I haven't been to a doctor in, I'm going to say, 25 years, 20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And I have no need to go get tested. But
Yeah. So they can
that's
find, they want to test you so they can find something.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's,
Exactly. You
uh,
know how you feel. You feel well.
yes,
Um, and it's important. Unless you have a chronic condition that needs to be monitored, you probably don't need that much medical care. And
right.
they are trying to sell you something. And my folks were of the same school of thought of you as you, which is if you don't feel fine, leave the doctor alone because they're going to find something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
And even my friends who are doctors say never get like a full body scan because they will find something.
Oh,
And once
yes.
they find something, you're going to be scared. Then they're going to want to do a test.
Yes.
Now they've done a test. Now they accidentally punctured this or punctured that, or they spread it, or keep well enough alone. You look great. I'm glad you're thriving. And thank you for sharing this wonderful book with the world. It is called Balance Your Terrain, a guide to optimal health and freedom from dis-ease. It's written by Rick Wagner, and in the book, he reveals how reconnecting with our body's natural rhythms and the elemental power of minerals can lead to true healing. If you're ready to ditch outdated medical models and take control of your health journey, this book is your guide to freedom and your guide to staying out of one of those little gowns that doesn't close in the back. Rick, thanks so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Logan, it's been a pleasure, a true pleasure. So anytime you want to talk about more things, just let me know.
Love to have you back on the show anytime. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.